Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
Okay, John, the power went out the radio station yesterday for like 3 seconds, and that meant we had to reset every stinking computer.
No.
And not only did I realize that we've got UPSs on several of our computers, I realized that the two main computers that run this station, Westplex 107, the UPS, the batteries are bad because when the power dropped out, instead of the UPS is taking over, they just dumped the power. So anyway.
This is not, Brad, this is not an advertisement for solar energy because you signed up for that special Ameren solar program. You pay an extra $79.99 a month, and you know that it only comes from sunshine. What a rook.
But it only comes during the day, so you don't have any lights at night.
So it goes out every night.
Right, every night. And as a matter of fact, you save a lot of money in the winter because there's not much electricity to be had. Because especially like yesterday, or hold it, Saturday, when it's the shortest day of the year as far as daylight's concerned. And by the way, I can't believe you just brought that up because Isn't that the guy we're not supposed to talk about? Isn't that the lobbyist that gets you grief because he tells me to shut up? Isn't that who that's about? The Ameren dude?
Who's that? What guy is that?
You told me there's a guy, there's a lobbyist, and you won't say who he is, but he's a lobbyist for a big company. And he said to you, I wish Brad would leave me alone. Stop making fun of my company.
He didn't say that, but he asked questions about it. And Brad, why do you think it has something to do with the utilities?
Because I make fun of Ameren. They're goofy, stupid. By the way, can I tell you something?
This is the second time you've interrupted yourself in the same thread, Brad. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm driving to Jefferson City last week to get my license plates taken care of, okay? And there's a solar farm. I believe this is the one that they bought, that Ameren UE bought. It's right on the north side of 70. But the panels are facing west. And I'm going like, okay, I don't quite understand that. The panels are supposed to face south because where we're at, the sun tracks from east to west, and the arc is to the south of where we're at. Now, if we were in the southern equator, it would be different. We would want to put our panels to the north. But why would you put your panels facing west? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so. You always want to put them in the direction of Cori Bush because the Earth actually revolves around her, as does the sun.
Okay, whatever you say. Now, that's John Combest, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. Put a John in front of his name, put a .com on the end, and you've got johncombest.com, the source for information. When you want to know what's going on in the state of Missouri, he covers it all. Puts dozens of stories up every morning for the past 23 years. But in the morning, we bring this guy along. And what's your name again, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And his level's all screwed up because I had to reset everything. And what do?
Their stories coming up.
And here they go.
In third place,
Brad, where are you at on white women?
White women?
Yeah, like how do you feel about them? Like thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Where are you at on white women?
Well, being that I'm transracial, every woman is nice as far as I'm concerned. Orange, green, pink, black,
including white woman and Mocha Java women, right?
Yes. I've never found a Mocha Java woman because that's me. I'm Mocha Java. I'm transsexual.
Well, here's the thing. No matter what kind of women are in your life, Brad, but particularly if you got some Caucasoid women in your life, some white women, I want you to comfort them today because there's a headline that's probably going to cause some alarm from the Post-Dispatch. The headline from Kelsey Landis in the Post-Dispatch is, St. Louis area Starbucks workers plan rolling strikes through Christmas Eve. Brad, this is probably the worst news to come on the eve of Christmas since, like, pick your favorite Christmas movie when there's always something to overcome. It turns out, Brad, that according to Kelsey Landis, workers on yesterday, shut down the store at Grand Boulevard and Sydney Street. Now, I don't know where that is. I know there's a Sydney Street cafe. I try to never go into the city, but I'm guessing that's an urban area. And workers walked off the job Sunday. There's a picture in the Post-Dispatch of some giant amorphous humans. Two of them are wearing COVID masks outdoors. That makes a lot of sense. But anyway, Brad, Kelsey Landis highlights the fact that these protests, these workers are striking because they're real mad at Starbucks. They want to be able to unionize and they want to be able to get better. Starbucks Workers United wants a better economic package. So 3 stores in the area were affected, Brad. There's that urban one, Grand Boulevard and Sydney Street. And then apparently their workers were striking at the store at Clayton Road in Lindbergh. And that's in the plaza where there used to be Schneidhorst was in there.
Right.
A lot of good-looking white women go to that Starbucks. And then there's also a Richmond Heights store off of Hanley Road. I can't picture where that is. I try to never go around Richmond Heights because it's kind of a scuzzy area, I think, these days. But anyway.
Wow, listen to you, John.
Well, I mean, would you want to go to Richmond Heights, Brad?
I go through Richmond Heights almost on a daily basis. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, do you get out of your car or do you just drive through?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, Richmond Heights is a nice area. What are you talking about, John?
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, yikes. But remember, Brad, I try to never go on the wrong side of 270.
That's right. You're an outer 270 dude.
Yeah, I try to so I mean, maybe that Starbucks store is fine too. Maybe it's safe. But when I hear Hanley Road, Brad, I think of going up around, when I used to hang out around Natural Bridge. Well, anyway, that's a different story. The point is, Brad, it appears as though these protests are not necessarily, besides the one in Town and Country, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of these in civilized areas, which to me, if you're trying to create havoc at Starbucks, you want to go somewhere civilized, like you want to go to Town and Country or like, Lake St. Louis or somewhere. But anyway, they want a better package. They have a quote from a woman named Darissa Tyndall. So she's a barista at a store in Ladue. And I would just, folks, check out, you really don't even have to read the story. Just look at the picture. There's a woman with really nice, it's a cross between purple and red hair. And she's holding one of those prefab signs that the union makes for you. And there's some amorphous humans. I don't know if they're men or women. But yeah, Brad, here's the bottom line, though. Comfort the white women in your life, Brad. I don't think these quote-unquote strikes are going to have much effect. I think you could still go through the drive-through in your suburban assault vehicle. You don't even have to flash the world your yoga pants. Get your Starbucks, be on your way.
John, I've got a question on this, and we'll pick this up in B Block, a strike at Amazon, which is sort of interesting, because I heard it at NPR yesterday, and I thought to myself, what a misleading story this is. But anyway, I thought that the ones that were going on strike were already union. Isn't that the deal? I thought that
Yeah. That's a good point. I think I misspoke, Brad, because I think I said that they want to create a union. They're already part of the Starbucks Workers United. So You're right about that. They're not claiming to want to form a union. They want a quote serious economic package.
Well, isn't that why they joined the union? I mean, didn't they get what they wanted when they joined the union?
But it's not good enough, Brad. It's not good enough.
I don't. I'm not making fun of people who have the Starbucks edition. I just don't get it. I will never understand it. I'm of an age when you went to a restaurant, and if it was a good restaurant, there was a sign out that said, a bottomless coffee cup. You know what I'm saying? The idea
I
being...
know, and it's what you're acclimated to, right, Brad? Now, just think, if you're a gorgeous millennial white woman in West County, you don't know what a bottomless cup of coffee is. You don't even know what hot coffee is. You want to get your iced skinny vanilla latte and be on your way and go to Target. Brad, a great story from the Southeast Missourian over the weekend. A familiar name in Missouri politics just might become the Missouri Republican Party chairman, the brand new Missouri Republican Party chairman. Are you familiar with the name Peter Kinder?
Yes. Matter of fact, he was lieutenant governor. He's actually an interesting guy. Originally from Cape Girardeau, I believe, isn't he?
An interesting guy. You're right. Go ahead, Brad.
From Cape Girardeau, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He's from the Cape area. And he also led. Now, let's pause for a minute, because Brad, you and I talk about the Republican supermajorities. Peter Kinder was slaving away in the Republican minority for many years. And he led back in 2001. Republicans won a special election up in northeast Missouri. There was a guy named John Cawthorn who won a Senate seat up there. And Republicans broke the Democrats' stronghold on the Missouri Senate for the first time. And the number 54 stands out. It was at least 50 years since Republicans had the Missouri Senate. Peter Kinder was the architect of helping to take voters, rural Democrats, and having them see the light, Brad. Their Saul on the road to Damascus. The scales fell from their eyes. And Peter Kinder was one of the guys that led that charge. Peter Kinder got a phone call on primary night, as legend has it, from Mike Kehoe. And Mike Kehoe said, hey, I'd really like for you to run the Missouri Republican Party. And Peter said, okay, call me after the general. We'll think about it. I think that's how the legend has it, as relayed by the Southeast Missourian. Anyway, Brad, let's cut to the chase. You say, John, seems like intra-party back and forth. Who cares who leads the Missouri Republican Party? This should be non-controversial. Peter Kinder's been around forever. Well, two confounding factors, Brad. There's a state senator from Weldon Spring that's looking for something to do. Who's that guy, Brad?
That's Bill Eigel.
That is Bill Eigel. And as you know, Bill Eigel floated to the Post-Dispatch last week that he just might be interested in serving as Missouri Republican Party chairman. There's an election. The Republican leaders get together, members of the state committee get together on February 1st. So really only like 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now, and will elect the new Missouri Republican Party chairman. And Bill Eigel hasn't said whether or not he's going to throw his name officially into the hat. But Brad, Peter Kinder seems to be a pretty consensus choice. If you've been around Missouri politics, prior to at least the last few years, you've definitely worked with Peter Kinder. You have a relationship with him. And Brad, the one thing that I will flag in this story, Peter Kinder told the Southeast Missourian how he's going to build the party, how he's going to continue building the party. He said, I would stress I have support from all factions in the party, and I don't think any other candidate can say that. And more specifically, Brad, Peter Kinder says there's one thing that he is not in favor of, and that is purity tests. You know anybody who likes purity tests, Brad?
I do. Mike McCluskey, which I'm still surprised at. And can I stop you?
You mean Mark McCluskey?
Did I say Mike McCluskey? Mark McCluskey. Okay.
Mike is on the brain.
For a number of reasons. Okay. Should I call Bill Eigel right now and talk to him?
No, you should not, because we still have story number one, and it's important. And then I have a bonus story after story number one.
Okay. Let me just make one comment. This is a trivia question I think I already know the answer to. Okay. I believe when Peter Kinder, and this is interesting how things have changed in Missouri, when Peter Kinder was lieutenant governor, he was the only statewide elected Republican. Am I correct on that? Because he was the governor behind, he was the lieutenant governor behind a Democrat who was Jay Nixon. And I believe all the other top leaders in the state of Missouri, SOS and AG and stuff like that, I believe they were all Democrats. Does that sound correct?
I think you're right. Brad, I think you're right. Boy, that seems like forever ago.
I know.
Peter was elected, so he was elected in 2004. You're right. We had a state treasurer named Clinton Zweifel, who was from Hazelwood.
Right.
We had a guy named Chris Koster, was Missouri Attorney General.
Right.
I think you're right about that. We had the one of the two smart Carnahan kids.
Right.
I guess there were three at one point. But we had Tom and Robin, were the intelligent Carnahan kids. And so Robin was Secretary of State. I think you're right, Brad. I think Peter was the only statewide
And if I'm not
Republican.
mistaken, there was a controversy that when the governor left the state, by state law, the lieutenant governor was the governor. Wasn't there some stuff where he jumped in and did some stuff while Nixon was out of the town or something like that, out of state?
Yeah, actually, he texted G. Gordon Liddy, and he got some tips for for picking locks and getting into locked buildings. So then Peter ran the governor's mansion for a while. It was fantastic.
Okay, last but not least.
The number one.
Brad, as we head into the new year, it's very easy to forget that 6 months ago, you and I were here, along with everyone else, along with all of our listeners, and we were talking about the fact that the Democrats were trying to put Donald Trump in jail. And it looked really bleak for a long time. There's a piece in the D.C. publication called The Hill, and a guy named Doug McKinnon talks about the fact that, I don't know where we would be today if Trump didn't hire the legal team that he did. And that includes Missouri's Will Scharf. And Doug McKinnon says that, here's his direct quote, he gives credit to the masterminds behind the successful immunity appeal to the Supreme Court, Will Scharf. Now, Will Scharf was a member of a team. There were a lot of other bright attorneys on that team, Brad. But I think it's easy to forget that just 6 months ago, we thought Donald Trump might actually get locked up. we thought we might have to put somebody else on the ballot to go up against President Joe Biden, you know, that guy with a sound mind and mental clarity. So I think it's good at the end of the year, Brad, to acknowledge the fact that somebody that we can claim as our own, a Missouri guy, a Missouri Republican, Will Scharf, is directly responsible for getting Donald Trump back to the White House. Interesting.
And we'll talk about this in the next block and B block because there's so many different aspects of this, which I found fascinating. Okay, what's your bonus one?
The bonus story I would just call out is the very top headline on my website today, Brad. And usually that's only big federal stories, you know, national stuff. But the Springfield News Leader reports that the Missouri Department of Agriculture and Director Chinn, you know, they certify livestock to be able to travel across the state of Missouri. You have certain rules and regulations. The Missouri Department of Agriculture has cleared Santa Claus's reindeer for in-state travel. Santa can travel throughout Missouri on Christmas Eve now, Brad. He is free of red tape.
You know what's sad about that story? What's sad about that story is that they would even have to do that because essentially what it's saying is we're controlling everything, including Santa, but we're going to give him a special dispensation. God, the government's just gotten too.
I agree with that, Brad. And I will be playing this segment, this little clip for my kids probably tomorrow. So we will point out the fact that Uncle Brad brings up a great point. Why does Santa need to be cleared of red tape? Why doesn't Santa have the liberty and the freedom to travel wherever he wants? Regardless, Chinn is a hero in this, in the Missouri Department of Agriculture. But the good news is, Brad, Santa is free to travel around the state of Missouri.
John, think about this for a minute. The illegal immigrants are free to travel around Missouri, but Santa's not. So what does...
Santa had to go through the official avenues. Right. And Santa doesn't get a $10,000 gift card either to go spend. And he doesn't get an Obama phone and Obamacare.
Right. He doesn't get to stay in a hotel in New York City. Right. Okay.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?